It is my pleasure to bring on the man as cool as San Diego itself. Cooper Perkins is here. How have you been, sir?
I've been good, Mike. How have you been, buddy?
I've been great, and you got yourself an awesome microphone, so I'm kind of jealous right now.
Yeah, all kinds of projects requiring new equipment. So you just got to get yourself one of them. Not too big of an expenditure. Little you never know. Santa might bring you something.
Yeah, the Shore I've heard are great things, and you do sound amazing. Almost as good as you sound on this ESPN Plus broadcast, man. Those things are nice.
Thank you.
You and Nick do a great job. Those that don't know, he does. He is the voice behind the Seals. A lot of late thrillers. You guys always get to broadcast the fun ones for some reason. But I gotta ask you first of all, Seals are 2-1 to start the season. What's the vibe check right now in San Diego?
Vibes are high. Vibes are high. I think the team has developed a lot of chemistry very quickly. I was talking to the coaching staff. They've been, I think, pleasantly surprised by how quickly that's happened. And they're an overtime goal away from being 3-0. So I don't think that there's a whole lot to be upset about. The defense was not at its best the first couple of weeks of the season. They're still trying to get some pieces back and also incorporate some young guys like Zach Deacon and Matt Wright. So those things take some time, but ultimately, I think that the vibes are high and that it's a really good collection of guys. And, really notable difference is just how clearly defined the roles are on offense. That's something that I know Jordan Hall really wanted to establish given the system that they want to run. And I think it's noticeable, not to take away anything from Dane Dobie and Curtis Dixon because those two guys are tremendous.
Right.
And we've seen that the first couple of weeks of the season, but there just seems to be a really good fit of all the pieces right now in San Diego. And I think the ceiling's really high.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you talk about that defense. I mean, it's weird because you guys like have Kyle Rubish, Zach Currier contributes as well. I think it's Danny Logan's another one, but it's almost like a Wrigley has not even been at his peak yet, and that's what's scary for me about San Diego. What have you seen from Wrigley the first few weeks? Because I love the guy, but hasn't been as sharp maybe as we thought he would be early.
Yeah, no, make no mistake about it. First 2 weeks, he was not very good.
Right.
Week one against Philadelphia, I think you could say was one of the worst games he's had as a starter. But I thought that this last week against Colorado was a really good kind of illustration of maybe what to expect. They never ask him to make a lot of saves. Like you have to really keep that in mind when you're analyzing and evaluating the goaltenders in San Diego. They're not going to ask him to make 45 saves or 50 saves. For him, the sweet spot's somewhere between like 33 and 37. And they're going to ask him to make some tough saves and make some clutch saves, which is exactly what he did against Colorado this past weekend. But I think he's only going to get better. There's one thing that's important that people probably don't understand because they don't know him at all, but he's extraordinarily confident. And I think that that's something that is really important and often elusive in goaltenders, that extreme level of confidence. So I can't imagine that there's any scenario in which he doesn't end the season as one of the the better goaltenders in the league statistically. Right. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if he makes good on my prediction through Inside Lacrosse and wins the goalie of the year or not. I think that there's a lot of good competition there, but I think that any concerns surrounding him are transitory and not particularly significant. I wouldn't worry about it. And if you're, a fan that doesn't like San Diego and is rooting against the Seals, I have bad news for you. There's not a goalie problem in San Diego.
Agreed. I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised how well Mike Poulin played. I feel like I haven't seen that guy in a while, and he did well in relief, like you said, in week one. And I agree, the Colorado game, he locked it down late in that game. So I got to ask you, because I predicted that Wesley Berg would go crazy this year. And I know it's only been 3 weeks, but like Ryan Benesh and Rob Helliard, who I do love a lot, they've all been, it's like a big three almost. Add Zach Currier, who's doing amazing things. How awesome has it been to see the new guys contribute almost automatically?
Yeah, no, I think that kind of alludes to what I said just at the top here a moment ago, that, the chemistry level has really exceeded expectations. I think with Wesley, he's going to have his big nights, but I think not needing him to have big nights is a very encouraging thing. He still had 4 goals and 6 points against Colorado, right? So like he's going to have his nights, he's going to have his moments. I don't know if he's going to have another 110-point season, but if they don't need him to do that, then what does it matter? I think that ultimately the biggest thing is going to be their ability to stay healthy and their ability to stay out of the penalty box and play either 5-on-5 or be on the power play themselves. We've seen through 3 weeks that their power play is absolutely lethal. They have threats at every spot, and those guys are really, really good. And I think the other piece that I would add to that is Kyle Jackson. I made his season debut this past weekend against Colorado, had 3 goals and an assist. And what he brings to the table is something that was missing the first 2 weeks, simply from an experience standpoint. He and Adam Noakes, who's a rookie, have a lot of similarities and crossover in terms of their skill sets and what they bring. Kyle's just a more refined, finished product. Adam's still, a young guy who's a work in progress with a really high ceiling. But I think that extra dynamic on the left side, and I think admittedly their left side has been a little bit thin the first few weeks. So seeing Kyle Jackson insert himself into the lineup in that way, I think was really encouraging, for what's going to come from San Diego. But the new guys are just great. Ben McIntosh is a delight. Ryan Benesh is just such a fun guy. And Rob Hellier's, a really great, kind guy as well. And the 3 of them just understand exactly what their roles are and are the perfect fits for those roles. There's no cumbersome, awkward pairings in terms of, well, we want these guys together, but this guy's a ball carrier and that guy's also a ball carrier. Everyone just fits into their places perfectly. And I think it's a good example of there being different methods for roster construction. And sometimes an influx of superstar talent across the floor doesn't always add up to cohesiveness. Yeah. And, I think that the Kevin Crowley experiment a couple of years ago really illustrated that well. And now we're seeing kind of the flip side of that. Not to say that these guys aren't exceptional players, right? They're all veteran max players, but there is a different, I think, expectation individually from a guy like Rob Hellier than there is from Curtis Dixon or from Kevin Crowley or Dane Doby, where he looks a lot more like his most productive self back in the Toronto days of 2016 than he did as, the lead dog in Las Vegas the last couple of years. And that's just as simple as, coaches understanding what they have and knowing how to put those players in the best places to succeed.
It's only one ball. I mean, it's like there's one lacrosse ball at one time on the floor. So it is what it is. I got to ask you, not to report on anything here, but we know that Trevor Baptiste was on the PUP list, and then he came back, went 16 of 16, and then got hurt. I haven't seen anything. Have you seen anything about how he's doing and if he's even going to play this weekend?
Yeah, no, all I know is that Trevor wanted to come back into the game, and the medical training staff did not allow that. They were very cautious. I don't know what the significance is. Injuries are very complicated. Sometimes guys feel perfectly healthy, and it turns out they have a significant injury. Sometimes you feel, like things are terrible, and it's just a twisted ankle. So it's really a really wide spectrum to draw from. All I know is that as of last week, Trevor's spirits were high. I have no update on that, and I have no official word from the team. It's just a lower body thing that kind of happened in a non-contact situation. With obviously that's scary, right? Non-contact stuff is always cause for concern, but there's no substantive reports here to share other than Trevor's a warrior, and if he is able and allowed to play, he certainly will.
I also love this emo night promo he did with trying to do the all-time low. That was pretty funny. Those who haven't seen on social media, that's pretty good. All right, I gotta talk to you. You guys have another home game. So is this another Cooper Perkins broadcast against Georgia?
Yeah. Myself and Nick Acella will be there. It'll be a fun one, and we'll see what direction the game leads. There are a lot of different possibilities.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you what is your expectations for that game? It's already a rematch. I was about to say. I remember the Brett Dobson, Christopher Larry thing. How are we feeling with the rematch of those two guys, and how are we feeling about the game?
I think that there is a real prove it opportunity for Georgia, more so than for San Diego. Simply because, the Swarm have won 2 games by 1 goal each. They've yet to leave their home, their home barn. And San Diego has been a really difficult team for road teams to win in during the regular season. San Diego's won 17 of the last 20 home games during the regular season, dating back 3 years. So I feel like if Georgia can come in and steal a game there and make that statement, be 3-0, beat San Diego twice, including once at Pechanga Arena, I think that that's a really loud statement. I don't think that the same statement applies to the Seals. As long as they stay healthy, I think that they're going to be in position for a playoff spot, whether it's a 6th seed or a 2nd seed. I don't know. But I think that there are more questions about Georgia at the moment than there are about the Seals. So I think we'll learn a lot about both teams, but I think we'll learn more about the Swarm. I also don't think that we should be discounting them for, potentially losing to San Diego, right? Just because they might go to San Diego and not come out with a win doesn't mean they failed the test. It just means we've learned more about them. So, very early in the season, very hard to draw conclusions on these things, but I think it's going to be exciting. I think it'll probably be a little bit different of a game script than the first one. I have a hard time seeing the Seals score once in the last 31 minutes again. Brett Dobson's great, but I just don't see that happening. I think there's a real possibility that we get another overtime type game. I also think that there's a possibility that the game isn't all that close. I don't see a situation where it's like a 2-goal game all game and one team struggles to make a move. I don't see that happening. But they played last year in San Diego. That was an overtime game also. So the margin between these two teams the last 18 months or so is really, really narrow. And I think that makes for really compelling, exciting television. So fans should absolutely tune in and watch that one.
Yeah, stay up and watch it. Well, I know I will. I just wish they would have covered the two, but then they obviously blew the first one. But who cares? That's just my money, not yours. I do want to ask you before I let you go, Cooper. What are your latest endeavors? Anything to promote before we get you out of here?
Yeah, actually, we got a project via the NLL that's debuting pretty soon. Hopefully right after the new year. So that's very exciting. Can't quite divulge exactly what's going on, but maybe the upgraded new microphone should give you a little bit of an idea. But that'll be really fun. We're very excited about that. I think that's cool. So once the calendar turns into 2025, definitely get those antennas out and start paying attention, because some very cool, fun, different content, I think, is on the way. And it's something that doesn't really exist right now. So I think that there's a very exciting, fun opportunity for lacrosse fans to consume something a little bit different.
Cool. And also I want to mention the power rankings. I have the Seals at number 2, full disclosure tomorrow. But I know you have a Swarm, but that's whatever. We'll see.
I can't rank San Diego ahead of a team that beat them. It doesn't make sense.
That's true. Oh, gosh, now I'm thinking about it. Don't do that to me.
If there's anything that I've grown to detest about college football among all of the NIL and transfer portal things, it's the AP poll and the way that this team beat that team, but this team's still in front. It doesn't make any sense. So
that's true.
Do I think that San Diego may actually be better than Georgia? Perhaps, but their resume simply suggests the opposite. So it's just like what I wrote in the article about Calgary, right? They're 2-0. I think they're 5th in the power rankings. That doesn't necessarily mean that we think they're the 5th best team, but it means that right now they deserve to be in that 5 spot because they're undefeated, they're 2-0, and that kind of answers a lot of questions. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to stay that way, but there's a balance between projection and resume, and when it comes down to one team or the other, easy tiebreaker is Team A beat Team B.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. You do great work. Thank you again, Cooper. Send our love to Nick, and have fun this weekend. I know you guys will.
Appreciate it, Mike. Always will. Great being on, buddy. Hope you have a great rest of your week.
Yes, sir. Cooper Perkins, voice of the Seals. I cannot express how fun those broadcasts are between those two. They do a good job, and if you ever stay up late on the East Coast watching those, you're going to be in for and they make the game fun. So shout out to Cooper and Nick on those, and whoever the Silent Reporter is this weekend.